Browns former first-rounder Greg Newsome is sounding off about OBJ and the Baker Mayfield dynamic last season. He called OBJ, quote, probably the best teammate. Then, when talking about Baker, he added, quote, the crazy thing is Baker was a great teammate too. Shannon, what did these comments tell you about Odell versus Baker?
Nothing. The guys were very good in the locker room, that it just didn't work on the field. The chemistry that they had in the locker room, Skip, and what was displayed in the locker room didn't translate to the field. And you know that happens sometimes. Having been around locker rooms covering the game, you know sometimes you can have a great relationship in the locker room and the chemistry doesn't work on the field. And sometimes the chemistry does works on the field and you don't have the best relationship off the field. And that's great too. Because you're there to win football games. Nobody goes into the NFL like, man, I'm trying to make as many friends as I possibly can. By the time you reach that level, you got damn near all the friends you really need. Because those are the guys that saw you when you didn't have anything. So most of my friends, I have friends that I met when I played in the NFL. Most of my friends came from when I was in Pee Wee and high school and college. So it doesn't tell me anything, Skip, but it also tells me these guys are ready to move on. Odell isn't coming back. Baker, I don't believe is coming back. And I know Cleveland, like, well, we can hold on to him. You'll be a fool to hold on to a guy that's got 19. Just pay $13, $14 million, which is less than the $19 million you'd have to pay him, and go ahead and trade him and move it on and get that headache out of your building. It's a headache that you created because you could have went about this a different way, and that he still would have felt some type of way, Skip. Nobody feels good about being replaced, but it was how you handled the situation. It made him uncomfortable. Now you're uncomfortable. You're squirming. Man, what are we going to do? What do we do? Here we are, June right now. Teams, you're stuck. But I don't read anything into it, Skip. They were both teammates. That relationship just didn't materialize on the field like it did off the field.
Okay. I read a lot into it because I have respect for a Greg Newsome II, who was a first-round pick out of Northwestern. He's a sharp young man, and he crystallized my view better than any current Brown has, because I think they've all been reticent to talk about Baker because they got Deshaun.
Right.
And Deshaun, as I've told you from the start, as a Baker fan and defender, Deshaun's just better than Baker because he's better than just about everybody, except a couple of others.
Right.
And yet, in the end, the reason I'm still so baffled to the point of being tormented about what happened in Cleveland with Baker and Odell is what Greg Newsome summed up is that, yeah, everywhere Odell has gone, everybody loves him. You know him.
Yeah.
I know him a little bit, but I've communicated with him a little bit. But the point is, you have a feel for, he's fun to be around.
Yeah.
He's got a big heart, and he's a smart guy.
Very outgoing, very personable.
Very, very personable. And so wherever he goes, he makes a whole lot of friends.
Yeah.
Not that he tries, but he's magnetic.
Right.
He attracts teammates to him, and they want to be around him because he's got a great cool factor, and he's got a great way about him, but he has a cool humility about him, right? That doesn't come across. He even though he can, especially in New York, he can act like a diva on the sidelines. He does not act like a diva in the locker room, from what I've heard.
Yes.
Okay. So Greg Newsome is saying he's probably the best teammate I've had, and yet he thinks for a second and stops and says, the crazy thing is, Baker was a great teammate too. Well, I've told you, I got a couple of pretty good sources in Cleveland who have said that Baker was still, to the bitter end, popular among a majority of players in the locker room.
Right.
I'll quickly read a quote from Myles Garrett. I was told Myles wasn't the biggest fan of Baker.
Right.
And so he was a little more cold-blooded in his evaluation of what happened, and his point was Baker played pretty well when he was healthy. When he's healthy, he can do some pretty good things for a team. He just has to find his niche again. I think he has to prove himself that he has to be healthy. So now it's up to Baker to go prove himself again, because that was a long, hard struggle last year, and you made the case he probably should have just shut it down after the second game. When he needed surgery on his torn labrum and he fractured his shoulder, just say, I can't do it.
Exactly.
I'm out.
Yep.
But instead, there's a whole lot of bad tape from last year. And there's also a lingering bitter taste in everybody's mouth because for some reason, as Dr. Greg Newsom said, that relationship between Odell and Baker, he said it was just off. That was the word he used. Well, it was. It was just off. And he said, yes, it was distracting, but we all just kept trying to do our job. Okay,
Right.
I got it. I told you before Odell's last season in Cleveland, Baker and Odell went on vacation together in Montana. So I always thought they were really close.
Right.
Like, I don't think you go on a vacation with somebody you aren't pretty tight with, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hell no.
All right. So it wasn't an off-the-field problem, but it definitely was on the field. And I don't know exactly what was going on. It looked to me like Baker loved Odell so much, he really tried to force-feed the ball to an Odell who couldn't stay healthy himself because in Cleveland, he had 3 different surgeries. And when they finally cut him, he was a little bit of damaged goods, and it took him a while to get his legs underneath him with the Rams.
Right.
Because he's still coming back from, he'd obviously had the previous ACL surgery. Okay? So for whatever reason, they didn't have a click on the field. There was no rapport, there was no chemistry, and it went from bad to worse. The more the Baker tried to force it to Odell, the worse it got. And all of a sudden, he's forcing bad throws. And all of a sudden, Odell's father's saying, look at this, I'll post it.
But, Skip, you know how it is, Skip. When you was covering the game, there might not be a connection on the field, but it wasn't talked about every single day, every single story.
Nope.
After a while, this thing get legs, and that's all people are looking at. They're looking at the Cleveland Browns, not to watch whether they win or lose, to see how many passes Baker throw to Odell and how many he actually catches. So it becomes the story within the game. It becomes the story within the game.
Agreed.
And that's what happened. Like I said, I think they could be friendly. They could be, friends off the field. But for whatever reason, it didn't connect on the field. And that's why Odell was there, and that's why Baker was there. Not to be friends, but to have a great connection on the football field and to help them win games.
Yep.
And it never materialized.
Well, I thought when Odell was acquired by the previous GM who drafted
John
Baker
Dorsey.
number 1, John Dorsey, that was a John Dorsey move, remember?
Yes.
And I told you, sitting in this chair, I think this is a match made in football heaven.
Right.
Because they already were friendly, and then they became close friends, and then they became on-field, quote-unquote, enemies.
Right.
Or frenemies. I don't know what they were. So the point was that once Odell went down with his first ACL tear, it was ironically at Cincinnati, and the team takes off. And you could just see Baker heave a sigh of relief and start to play more like the Baker that I thought they should have picked number 1 overall.
Right.
So he goes on a tear, and they go 8-3. They win their first playoff game in 26 years, and over that span, he's 20 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and Pro Football Focus grades him the 4th best quarterback in the league over those 11 games.
Right.
Well, there's no Odell. Was it a coincidence? I think not. But does that mean they hate each other? No, it absolutely does not. And I'm sure to this day, could they go have dinner together and have a good time? I believe they could.
Yeah. It just didn't work.
It didn't work.
But I just need to tell me why ain't nobody picked up Baker Mayfield if he's what you said he is.
Because there's a thing called a salary cap.
Skip, what's
And
a
everybody knows the Browns are back completely in the corner, and they're going to have to cut him sooner or later, whichever they choose. And it looks like they're going to go later because they're the clown show. Because why would a team want to pay the freight on him? Why would a team want to give away any draft picks when they know they can get him for nothing?
A 6th-round draft pick ain't nothing. A 6th-round draft pick to make sure I get it. I mean, sometimes you have to overpay for something to make sure you get it.
For all I know, Baker's already made a deal with somebody. I'm coming there as soon as they cut me.
He's in no position to make no deal.
Why not?
He's damaged goods.
Well, is he?
Yes.
How do you know?
Yeah, because Cleveland has set him to the side.
How do you know some team with a starting quarterback like your guy Tua in Miami, how do you know the Dolphins haven't said, bide your time, be patient. As soon as they cut you, you're going to be here and you're going to get a chance.
That's tampering. And the last thing Miami want to do is do anything because they already got a big lawsuit hanging over their head. So they ain't fooling with
they might
Baker
have the
Mayfield.
biggest lawsuit hanging over their head.
Exactly.
Okay, but who knows what's going on behind closed
I know what's
doors.
going on. I ain't behind closed doors. I'm in the public. And I can see. I see what's going on.
Really?
Nothing for Baker right now.
Well,
Seattle
not
say
yet.
Seattle say we good with old Drew Lock.
Really?
Yeah.
They are?
Yep.
You like Drew Lock? I don't.
Skip it ain't what I like.
Yeah.
I ain't got no team. I just
You used to love Sam Darnold, but not anymore.
Carolina like him more than Baker.
How do you know that? I don't think they do.
They ain't traded for
They're
him.
waiting for free. That's what they're waiting. Free Baker, and you'll get him for free.
You do know what you call him contract is already guaranteed, so he got $20 million guaranteed too.
Who?
Sam Darnold.
Oh, good for you.
Sam Darnold. So
Smart
what?
move by the Panthers. Right?
Yeah. So smarter move by the. Sometimes you just cut bait. Sometimes you just cut bait.
Well, Cleveland should cut Baker.
You ever go
Cut
fish?
Baker.
You ever go fish and skip? You ever been fishing?
I been a kid when I was a kid.
Okay, well sometimes you pull up something. I look and I see it's a garfish. I ain't got no use for. Yeah, I ain't got no use for no gar. I just cut the line. Go on about your business.
Okay.
You serve me no purpose.
Why, you can't eat them?
No, you can't eat them.
Why not?
Tough? My grandma said you couldn't eat them, so I just took her word for it.
Really? I don't know. I don't know a garfish.
Yeah.
I know
All
Ralph
right.
Gar.
Guys, moving on from both the garfish and the Baker topic, we got to get back to a very hot debate going on in NBA circles because payback could be afoot. We shall see. Should Marcus Smart get a pass for that diving play at Steph Curry, or are the Warriors going to remember that? We'll give you